So the Chiefs ended up not making any moves prior to the trade deadline, which means they will continue the season with a struggling pass rush and one of the least explosive running back rooms in the entire NFL. This obviously has many fans frustrated, especially after starting the season out 5-4 with weaknesses being pretty evident. However, it's not all doom and gloom, and in the end, they might have made the right decision for reasons I'll dive into in today's video. So I've got to talk about that, why this isn't the same as when they traded for Kadarius Toney, the importance of this upcoming Broncos game, and more. But first, how about those? Alright, so the NFL trade deadline came and went yesterday, and while there were 10 total trades that went down, you had one on Monday night when the Eagles traded for Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins, but then 9 on Tuesday. So you had all that going on. However, the Chiefs stayed pat and didn't make any moves at all. I was hoping they would make a move for a defensive lineman or a running back, but I wasn't extremely confident given the fact that they only have 6 picks for next year's draft. And with that being said, it looks like the Chiefs did try. They tried to make a trade for Jets running back Breece Hall. Per Nate Taylor of ESPN, the Chiefs were willing to go as high as a 4th-round pick that conditionally could turn into a 3rd-round pick in any trade on the day. Well, the Jets had a fire sale. They traded away Sauce Gardner to the Colts for 2 first-round picks, plus Indy's wide receiver A.D. Mitchell, and then, of course, Indy took on Sauce's contract. Then they traded away defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a 1st, a 2nd, and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. From there, the Jets were open to trading away defensive lineman Jermaine Johnson as well as running back Breece Hall. They wanted at least a 2nd for Johnson and reportedly a 3rd for Hall. Well, the Chiefs did want Breece, but for a 4th, that could have become a conditional 3rd. The Jets didn't budge, though, wanting a 3rd and only a 3rd, and therefore nothing materialized. The deadline passed, and the Chiefs did absolutely nothing. This frustrated a lot of fans because the 2 biggest weaknesses on both sides of the ball, if you had to break it down, one for offense, one for defense, defense would be D-line, and then on offense, the running back room. Well, nothing improved. Meanwhile, 2 teams the Chiefs are going to be facing here soon, the Colts and Cowboys, did upgrade Sauce Gardner and then Quinnen Williams. And look, I'll be honest with you guys. I was team trade for Breece Hall. Give New York the 3rd and then extend Breece to a multi-year contract and make him the future of that running back room for years to come, especially considering Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Elijah Mitchell are all either on 1-year deals or, in Pacheco's case, is on the last year of his rookie deal, and Bashard Smith is the only running back on the roster under contract after this season. Well, the thing is, the Chiefs haven't shown a willingness to invest much at all from a monetary standpoint into the running back room, and I always thought the Breece Hall trade was a pipe dream because of that. You're going to trade for Breece and give him a $10+ million a year extension. It just seems like something the Chiefs have never shown any interest in doing, investing money into the running back room. What's crazy is, in spite of all of that, the trade wasn't actually that far off from happening had KC been willing to give them a 3rd. Part of the problem is the Chiefs draft so late in these rounds year in and year out that most of their picks are very late in a round, so that's probably why New York didn't budge and wanted a 3rd. Breece Hall, man, he would have done so much for this offense as a true dual threat back that could actually bust off explosive runs and catch passes out of the backfield. However, since the trade didn't happen, it's kind of pointless to continue talking about Breece's traits and what he could do for this offense because it's not happening, and you really just have to deal with who you've had all season long. Next up, I'm going to break down why the Chiefs probably made the right decision, even though I don't like it, in not trading for Breece Hall. Look at the biggest concerns for the team and how crucial things are after going 5-4 through the first 9 weeks of the season. But first, if you're looking for work boots that are both comfortable and durable while also an affordable price, then look no further than to the sponsor of today's video, Brunt Workwear. I personally sit in my basement all day, every day, and make videos, but there are a ton of you out there who listen to my videos while out on the job. You see, trades workers, they play a big role in the US, and Brunt Workwear makes the most comfortable boots on the market that feel great straight out of the box. Brunt work boots are made for the toughest sites out there, holding up in any environment, and I can't lie, these boots are very comfortable if I do say so myself. And get this, Brunt Workwear is so confident about the quality and comfort of their boots that they let you try any of their gear on the job. If you don't love it, just send them back. It's really as simple as that. And maybe you yourself wouldn't use awesome boots like these, but you know a friend or a family member who would. Well, these would make for a pretty great gift for the holidays. Just saying. Hold on a second. Hello? Discount? Oh yeah, so to get some of the most comfortable boots I've ever worn, just use my code HBTC10 to get $10 off your first purchase today by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code that's up on screen. Again, try them on the job, and if you don't like them, just send them back. And don't forget to use my code HBTC10 to get $10 off your first purchase. Okay, so after the report broke that the Chiefs were not going to be trading Breece Hall after all as the deadline concluded or ended, this of course upset and frustrated many Chiefs fans, including myself to some degree, who wanted to see an upgrade to the weakest position group on the offense. Well, I just think Brett Veach and company, they weren't comfortable with giving up a third-round pick for a half-season rental, given the fact that they only have 6 picks in next year's draft currently. They've got a first, a second, a third, a fourth, and 2 fifths. Some have said, hey, they were willing to give up a third for Kadarius Toney, and if you look at the draft picks from the third round in the Brett Veach era, they haven't had a lot of big hits in that round, so why wouldn't you just give up the third for Breece Hall, especially considering how much he would help the running back room? And while I understand the aspect of the third round picks not really being a bunch of W's in the Brett Veach era, when you look at the Kadarius Toney trade, the Chiefs had something like 12 draft picks that next year for 2023, including 2 thirds. So they gave up one of those thirds in 2022, plus a 6th round pick to get Kadarius Toney, and still had a third and 9 other picks in the draft the next year. The draft picks were only a part of it, because on top of that, Kadarius Toney was only a year and a half into his 4-year rookie deal, and as a first-round pick in 2021, KC also had the ability to pick up his 5th-year option if they so desired. So they basically had 2.5 years left on Toney's rookie deal, plus the 5th-year option. That's just not really a similar situation here with Breece Hall, who was actually on the last year of his rookie deal. So while I am bummed out, I do understand, especially if they weren't confident in extending Breece to a long-term deal, why they did not make this trade. So with that, the running back room is what it is. Pacheco's going to be your primary back when he comes back healthy, hopefully from the MCL sprain here pretty soon. He's just limited in his vision and isn't an asset really at all in the pass game. Brashard Smith, as a converted wide receiver, he's an asset in the pass game, but isn't yet trusted that much to run between the tackles or to be in there in pass protection situations. Kareem Hunt, he's your elite short yardage guy, and honestly, probably the most talented running back in the room, just doesn't really have much burst. I think my most hopeful outcome for the running back room this year as the season goes along is just Brashard Smith continues to work more into the offense, and they use him more than just a gadget guy, very limited role player, and they increase the workload of Brashard Smith because he has the most burst in the room, and it's not even close. Maybe one day he'll be your Jerick McKinnon on third downs and all that. I just don't think it's going to be this year. Something else the Chiefs could do is once Pacheco comes back, they run more from under center with him because he does indeed look better when they utilize him that way. Other than that, the coaching staff is just going to need to have a better game plan, something they didn't have with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Bills had zero respect for the Chiefs' run game. There were times when the Chiefs would come out with 2 tight ends, so a lot of times it was Kelsey and Gray, and Buffalo didn't even bother to match the personnel. They kept an extra defensive back out there instead because they didn't think Casey would run all that much, and they weren't really afraid of Kareem Hunt breaking off a huge run when they actually did hand him the football. The Buffalo game was a pretty odd one, honestly, because Mahomes was pressured a ton, but 18 of those 20 pressures came after 2.5 seconds. So there were only 2 quick pressures the entire game. Mahomes was holding onto the ball, and the Bills barely blitzed at all, playing more in coverage. And they did their best to take away his first read, the quick option. He was like 5 for 10 for 24 yards on quick passes in this game. And it worked pretty well for the Buffalo Bills. Mahomes also missed some throws here or there. He also bailed a clean pocket a couple of times, thinking there would be pressure there. Yet there wasn't, and had he waited, receivers were going to open up. Something else I saw was at least 2 times on RPOs when Mahomes simply made the wrong decision. I mean, every RPO is a 50-50 chance, right? Well, he should have handed the ball off to Kareem once rather than a quick pass to Worthy that lost 2 yards. But then, do you remember the handoff at the 1-yard line just prior to the end of the half? That was once again an RPO, and had Mahomes thrown that quick pass to Worthy left side rather than handing off to Kareem, I think that would have been a touchdown. Either way, you can't go back. KC lost. They're resting up after the Bills won yet again in the regular season. And next up is the Denver Broncos. This is definitely, by far, there's no debate here, the most important game for the Chiefs of the entire season, because if they manage to beat Denver coming out of the bye, they can go to 6-4, and the Broncos would fall to 8-3 heading into their bye. I'm basing that on the assumption that Denver beats the Raiders tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football. But if for some reason the Raiders, who do have Brock Bowers back and are a little bit better because of it, can pull off the win against the Broncos, there's a chance they find themselves 7-4 heading into their bye. I'm not going to hold my breath that the Raiders win, though. Let's be honest. Now, I do think something that helps the team out is the return of Josh Simmons. He's reportedly back in the building this week, and the expectation is he's using this as an acclimation period, the bye week, to get brought back up to speed, and they're aiming to start him week 11 against the Broncos. That will be pretty clutch, because if Jawan Taylor, who got his ankle rolled up at the end of the third quarter in the Bills game, if he's not quite ready to go, that means Simmons could handle the left side, and Jalen Moore, who's been filling in for Simmons as the left tackle, could play right tackle rather than Wanye Morris. The more effective your O-line in this game, the better, because the pass rush of the Broncos is absolutely elite. They lead the NFL with 40 sacks. That's 12 more than the Lions, who have 28, albeit in one less game played since they've already had their bye. So if we thought the Bills' pass rushers were a problem, this is going to be on a whole different level. But speaking of the defense, since they made no additions to the D-line prior to the trade deadline, I mean, there was a move made today, but it was the Steelers claiming Broderick Martin off the Chiefs practice squad, one of their defensive tackles. That's all that was made for the defensive side of the ball for now, which is literally subtraction. But that means Chris Jones will just have to take a step up, as will Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, Jerry Tillery, and Mike Pennell. Pennell helps against the run for sure, but Chris Jones has, as sad as it is for me to say, lost a step this year compared to last. Father Time waits for nobody. I think he's 31 years old. And it doesn't help that his supporting cast is one of the least impressive to me, we'll just say, that it's been in years. You also have Omar Norman-Lott, who is expected to play a bigger role in the back half of the season, now on IR. And this defense just is what it is at this point in time. Secondary's fine. Linebackers are decent. They have their limitations in coverage. But the inability to get home with 4 is going to be a problem. So what the Chiefs are going to need to do to be most effective and get wins is take the lead early on offense, causing teams to trail from behind, and force opposing offenses to become more one-dimensional as they chase points. That's what the Chiefs did very well against the Detroit Lions. But against the Buffalo Bills, they trailed most of the game, and that's not how this team is built to win this season. All of their one-score games have resulted in losses, which is the exact opposite of last year. Now, if you look at the offense, no, there's no new running back, but they're still averaging, or were averaging, 30 points per game over the last 5 or so weeks heading into Buffalo, and were a poor choice at the 1-yard line before the half from putting up 24 points. So the ability to get points is there, especially with Rashee Rice back in the mix. Obviously, Simmons is going to help boost the line even more. They're just going to need to shake this loss off from Buffalo and get ready for the Broncos, then the Colts, followed by the Cowboys, and I can't lie, the Chiefs can't afford to lose many more games here the rest of the year. They currently aren't in the playoff picture. They're third in the AFC West, and these games are going to be crucial here down the stretch. But hey, make sure to let me know how you're feeling about the state of the team as they're on their bye week. Do you think they made the right choice in not giving up a third-round pick for Breece Hall? Let me know either way in the comments down below. And I already know some of you are going to ask where I got this shirt. It's from Made Mob. Everybody gotta eat, and code HBT Chiefs will get you 20% off. Link to that is in the description and pinned comment down below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?